Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. Ready for new stories I have for you today? Let's go to the first one, about OP's sister-in-law, who demands she keeps OP's jewelry that she wore for her wedding because she's having a daughter. Enjoy the stories, guys, and don't forget to like and subscribe. And of course, don't forget to leave a comment. My sister-in-law is actually married to my half-brother, but for the post's sake, I'll just refer to him as my brother. We have the same mother, different fathers. My brother was from my mom's first marriage, and there's a 16-year-old age gap between us. He's 33, I'm 17, so we don't have a sibling relationship. We're more like cousins. We see each other a few times a year and have a good relationship, but we aren't super close. My mom died when I was 6, so I don't have many memories with her. However, she left me all of her jewelry, with a handwritten note about the significance of each piece. My paternal family is somewhat wealthy, so a lot of the jewelry is actually gifts from my dad, grandparents, to her, or paternal heirlooms. Since I have so few memories of my mom, I really treasure her jewelry. Going through life knowing that she's missing so many of my milestones is devastating, so I like to wear her jewelry during big events, so it's like she's with me. My brother and sister-in-law got married last year. They're upper middle class, but my sister-in-law wanted a really lavish wedding that they couldn't necessarily afford. My paternal family gifted them a large sum of money, and I offered to let sister-in-law borrow some of my jewelry to wear for the wedding, instead of the costume jewelry she was going to wear. It was a nice way to integrate my mom's memory into the wedding and also be something borrowed. She was super excited and ended up picking out a set of pearl jewelry that were presents from my paternal grandparents to my mom for her wedding. She also chose a diamond brooch hairpiece that my mom and paternal grandma designed together using diamonds from the earrings she wore in my parents' wedding, both of my grandparents' engagement rings, and some other paternal heirloom diamonds. They designed it together after I was born, intended for me. After the wedding, my sister-in-law tried to keep the jewelry since she claimed it was now more sentimental to her. I said no, but my brother told me to give her them, since they're from his mom too. But I don't think that's fair, since the jewelry has no significance for his paternal family. They keep pestering me whenever we meet, even though I told them no. Now my sister-in-law is pregnant and the baby is a girl. She messaged me with a list of jewelry she wanted from my collection because she wanted my niece to have them. That included all of the above jewelry, some other jewelry my mom left me, and also some pieces from my personal collection. My brother and sister-in-law think that I need to give my niece the jewelry since she's a girl of the family. If my niece wanted to borrow the same jewelry her mom wore for her wedding, which won't even be for like 20 years, I'd gladly let her. But I don't want to give away these important signifiers of my mom. They're calling me a selfish a-hole since my niece won't have any inherited jewelry from her paternal family. I could definitely afford to give the jewelry away or buy more, but I don't want to and I won't. Am I an a-hole? OP is not an a-hole. OP should get a safe box and put the jewelry in there just in case. It sounds like they're not stopping anytime soon until they get that jewelry. It's OP's, and she was super gracious by letting sister-in-law borrow her jewelry. They should have returned that to her immediately. Yes, there will be a girl in the family, but OP has a greater right to it by being her mom's daughter. OP can let her niece borrow it whenever she's 18 or so. But right now, I don't feel as OP's brother and sister-in-law have the best intentions with it. It doesn't sound like they're doing it for the sentimental value, so OP should not give in. She has every right to it. The quilt was one that my grandmother made for my mom as a gift when she was pregnant with me. She wanted to start the family tradition of having it passed down from one generation to the next, so when my ex-wife and I had our daughter, that was her favorite blanket. She took it with her everywhere. We lost her too soon when she was barely 2 years, and life wasn't the same. We weren't the same. We both fell into a deep depression, and the only way I coped was by drinking. My ex decided she had enough of it 2 years after and filed for divorce. It took time after the divorce to finally get help. The one who really pushed me into it was one of my best friends who is now my fiancé. We started our relationship a year after that, and here we are 3 years later. Currently engaged, and we're expecting our first boy in August. After all this time without contact, my ex reached out about the quilt. Some of my family are still in contact with her, and so I know through them that she decided to have a baby on her own, via donor. She has a 4-month-old daughter, and she's asking for the quilt back because she wants her daughter to have something of her sister's, and she's been wanting it for years since it was something our daughter treasured. And it's not that my ex doesn't have things that belong to my daughter, but she knows how attached my daughter was to this. The thing is, my fiancé and I would like for our son to have it for the same reasons, and the fact that it was something from my side of the family. My ex said it's the least I can do after what happened between us, than rebuilding my perfect life with someone else while she has no one and raising her child on her own. It's been this constant back and forth. Now, some of my family, mainly my sister and dad, say I should just understand life has been hard on her, so to just let her have this. Everyone else says it's a family item and neither she or the baby are part of it anymore. So I'm sort of in the middle. I don't want to give this up because it's what I'd like my son to have. Does that make me an a-hole given that I know life's been hard for her? OP is not an a-hole. Life has been hard not only on OP's ex, but on OP as well. OP's grandma made it, and so it's in his family. I can see her wanting something for her daughter that reminds her of her sister, but it is OP's family heirloom. And I don't think it's fair to throw in OP's face her anger that he has remarried and moved on. Is that not what she has done too? What is OP supposed to do? Be single and never have another child again? Just like it's OP's choice to remarry, it was her choice to go on this journey of being a single mom. My mom and stepdad married when I was 6 and his son was 9. We have never been close. He has never cared for a relationship with me. From the ages of 8 to 15, we fought like crazy, and he made the fact we'll never be family clear to me. He also doesn't like my mom or our extended family. He has not said a single word to me in almost a decade, and I'm fine with it. He invited me to his wedding because of the pressure from his dad, but did not speak to me. Neither did his wife. I actually didn't want to go, but my parents were really hoping it would bring some good, so I went for them. But after that, he decided that from there, I would not be included in anything, regardless of whether his dad wanted him to include me. He and his wife had a baby recently, and there is a small celebration planned. I am not invited. My mom wanted me to send a gift anyway. I told her that wasn't going to happen. She said it would show me attempting to be a good aunt. I told her I will never be his kid's aunt, that I am not part of his family and he is not part of mine, that I understood it was hard for her family and my stepdad to see us not getting along, but he has made his feelings clear, and I have no interest in forming a relationship with his child. I told her that child will always be a stranger to me, and it's okay if they have emotions about that, but they can't change things, because the lack of relationship is a fact by now, and not something that will change. She was upset and told me I should still care, because I am an aunt whether he likes it or not, and whether I like it or not. She said we are family, and we lived as siblings for a large part of our life. My mom told me to consider my actions, and now I'm wondering if she is right in any way. I don't know if I was a little too harsh when I have zero issues with the baby. It's just a fact I will never be their aunt. Am I an a-hole? Not an a-hole. Just because your parents got married doesn't mean you're siblings. He made clear what he thinks of OP, so why should OP even think about being an aunt for that child? The relationship with my mom has always been kinda rocky. My dad and her divorced when I was born, or thereabouts, and she has always made it clear that she thinks it was my fault. Last year, I got married, and I wanted the fairy tale wedding. Big dress, fancy venue. My husband and I worked our butts off so that we could afford it without borrowing any money, and I planned and designed everything, even my dress. The thing is a monstrosity that I can barely walk in, but it's mine. All through the wedding planning, my mother was obstructive and doing lots of secondhand bragging, culminating in making her own invitations, and 8 or so people turning up that I didn't invite and didn't know were coming. I guess she thought I wouldn't notice, except I opted for a small wedding of about 35 people. Anyway, fast forward to last weekend, and she lets me know that her brother that I met once at my wedding is getting married next week, and she told him I would pay towards it. I explained to her that no, I can't. I'm moving across country, so I have left my job, and also, he's a stranger. My mom went off on a rant about how he was there for my wedding and would do anything for me. Today, I was added to a group chat for this wedding that I'm not invited to, but whatever. Full of that side of the family asking for the measurements of my wedding dress and when I'd be sending it over. They feel it's the least I could do since I backed out on payment. I've been stewing on it all day. But on the other hand, I'm not about to use it anytime soon. I also feel bad for them because I get the idea my mom's been telling them I'd do it for a while. So am I an a-hole? Edited to add. It might seem obvious that I shouldn't feel bad, but I am from a culture of sacrifice for family, particularly elders. Also, I am told that now they can't afford cake or refreshments because I didn't go through with paying for it. Edit 2. I took the route of least resistance. I agreed she could use my tiara and veil as something borrowed, ignored the request for my dress, and left the group chat. I messaged both my grandmother and my mother privately to say I was unable to loan them my dress and to pass on my congratulations to the couple. I muted notifications on my mom's chat because I know it's going to be bad. My grandma has left me on scene. As for contacting the couple directly, I don't actually know their numbers, and I don't have either of them on Facebook. Not an a-hole. OP doesn't owe them anything, and OP has no obligation to give money or to donate her dress. OP's mom is being a giant manipulative shrew of an a-hole. Not only did she invite literal strangers to OP's wedding, now she is telling them OP will give them money without even asking OP first. They might be blood related to OP, but OP doesn't know them. So yes, they are indeed strangers. They might even be the nicest people in the world, but OP doesn't know them and doesn't owe them anything. It's OP's wedding dress, so only OP can decide if she wants to share that with someone else. But she also needs to be prepared for it to come back in any condition. It might come back perfect, but it may also come back completely trashed. This is going to be all over the place, sorry in advance. I'm 41, my husband is 44, and my stepdaughter is 23. I have been married to my husband for 6 years, together for 14. I have no biological children, but love my stepdaughter as my own. In 2014, I was struck by a semi-truck and was awarded a huge amount of money as a result. I put my stepdaughter through college because I wanted to do so. I wasn't asked. I also bought her her first vehicle. I feel incredibly grateful to be able to do this for her, as her mother is a piece of work and hasn't had much to do with her since she was 8. And my husband doesn't have much money either. She has always been incredibly appreciative of me and everything I have done for her, and thanks me on a weekly basis, at least, despite me telling her she doesn't have to. Well, back 2 years ago when she went on a trip to the Philippines with her college class. While she was there, she met a guy and fell head over heels. After the trip was up, she kept in very close contact with him. For the past 2 years, they have had a long-distance relationship, and it seems to work for them. Flash forward to 2 nights ago. Her father and I overheard him saying that he wants her to marry him and bring him back to America with her. That's not where my issue is. My issue is with the fact that I walked into my kitchen several minutes later, where she was FaceTiming him, and heard a woman's voice saying, "Did she fall for it? Is she going to pay for us?" My stepdaughter was oblivious to it, as she was making herself food and not really paying attention. I walk off. That night, she comes into the living room and asks for quite a bit of money, over $30,000, to fly to the Philippines and fly this guy back. As she is talking about it, she mentions that they are going to get married and soon thereafter they will fly out his family. I explained to her that it's not that simple, that there are legalities. She tried arguing that they already had it figured out. Then she goes to say, he will stay here with us until we find a home. Not okay with me. So I said no, and my husband stayed silent. She has been sulking for 2 days and won't speak to me. Am I the a-hole? Edited to add. I feel like an a-hole because I have more than enough money to pay for this, and she never asks me for anything. If I do this, she surely will be happy, but the whole thing sits real heavy in my gut because after hearing the comment, did she fall for it? And then hearing that she intends to house him at our home. Also left out that I did tell her what the woman said, and she claimed that I misheard her. For some reason, Filipinos love America. The most popular method is online dating and marriage, and then move to America. I know it sounds bad, but it happens often, unfortunately. My college friend met her foreign soulmate online. He was handsome and charismatic. Unsurprisingly, once he got his citizenship, he didn't think they were compatible, and it was him, it wasn't her. Honestly, she isn't in a place she can marry someone overseas. She has no money. It will be a liability for her friends and family.